We are here today to speak with an individual that has been quite an inspiration to me because of her amazing experiences as a race pilot back in the late 60s and early 70s. Who am I speaking of? My mom, now 92 years young. Mom, please tell us your story in your own words. What inspired you to get into flying?
Well, I have to say I was always fascinated with aircraft. I was born and raised in Petaluma on a chicken ranch, so I'm a Petaluma girl. And when planes flew over the house or in the distance, I thought, oh boy, I wish I could fly. In the paper, it was advertised that a 1926 Ford Tri-Motor was going to be in a field about 2 miles from our house. So my brother Clarence, who is 3 years older than me, he says, let's go, Betty, I'd like to go. And I said, yeah, how can we fly in this airplane? Do we have to have money? And he said, yeah, $5. Dad gave me $5, but he said, you can't go, you're too young. Oh, but I went anyway, and I got into the airplane, and it was a 21-seat airplane, and I looked at everything. I thought, oh, wow, this is really something. And then I understand President Roosevelt campaigned with this airplane. Oh, I was really enthralled with flying, and again, I wanted to take lessons. I met a gentleman who had an airplane. He says, Betty, I'd like to take you flying. So I got in the passenger seat, and he said, okay, we're going to fly around Petaluma. And then we did that, and he said, okay, Betty, would you like to take over the controls? And I said, yeah, I would like to. So he explained the instruments to me, what I should be doing. And so I did it. He says, I'll follow through with you. And he did. And I flew that airplane for about 10, 15 minutes. And then we landed at Petaluma Sky Ranch in Petaluma, of course. And I thought to myself, I was really bitten by the flying bug. I'm going to go to Petaluma Sky Ranch in East Petaluma, and I'm going to take flying lessons. So George Justman was the owner, and he was a World War II veteran, and he was a perfectionist. So I had about 40 or 45 hours with him. He taught me well. He was a perfectionist, like I mentioned, and when I soloed, I thought, oh, George, you're going to let me fly this airplane alone? He says, yes, Betty, you are ready to fly. He says, I want you to do 2 touch and goes. So he stood there and watched me, and oh, did I concentrate hard. But I did it and made it, and I took my private pilot's test and passed it. I took my airplane maneuvers test, and I passed it. And I thought, oh, I was very proud of myself. George Justman, he says, now you have your private pilot's license. There's an organization, a national organization called the 99s. He says, there's a chapter in Santa Rosa, and I'll give you the name who you should call. So I got Phyllis Cantrell's name and contacted her, and she says, oh, we're having a meeting next month. Why don't you come to the meeting? So I did. I met her and met all the other women, licensed women pilots. When I joined the organization of the 99s, I was told Amelia Earhart was our first president, and there were 99 charter members, and that's why the name the 99s. And she says, by the way, Betty, she says, I want to fly the next Powder Puff Derby. Are you interested in being my navigator? I said, oh, yes, I am. So felt really privileged to be asked to do that. I was her navigator, and we flew and flew. The terminus was Chattanooga, Tennessee. And there, to get there, we had a lot of thunderstorms, but we made it in time. So the experience of flying in my last leg of the 1971 Powder Puff Derby race to Baton Rouge, I had to fly low because of the cloud coverage. Here again, there was a weather problem. And I had to fly 300 feet above the ground. And then I noticed, oh my gosh, look at these tall antenna towers. And they had guy wires going every which way to hold them up. So we flew, and as I realized, oh my gosh, this airplane is just sucking up the fuel. I only have 15 minutes left on one tank. I had run the other tank dry, and I knew it will take us 30 minutes to get there. Louise Montero, my co-pilot, I told her to please look a place to land. I don't care if it's an airport or landing strip, keep your eyes peeled, because I was ready to land anywhere. So I said, oh my gosh, Louise, over there is an agricultural strip. And there's a little shed, and I see 2 tanks. I see a guy standing there. I said, I see a windsock, but it's all in shreds. I said, I don't know which way to land. And I thought, well, doesn't seem like there's much wind. So I throttled back the aircraft and finally got in position to land. And there was a fence on the other end. So I landed, and just before the prop hit the fence, I guess it was 2 or 3 feet. So I taxied up to the gas area to get gas. And I said to the boy, hurry up, we're on a race and time is of essence. So finally we got 10 gallons in each tank and we were on our way. We were at 12th place on the terminus leg, and we ended up, I think it was about 54th, and it was a sad day for us, but at least we made it in time.
Made it in time.
There were 179 airplanes, so we didn't feel so bad. I wanted to get my commercial license because now I wanted to be pilot in command. In order to do that, you had to have a private license with an instrument rating or a commercial license. And I decided a commercial license would be more beneficial to me. There were so many rules and regulations and lots of math regarding navigation. And there were over 100 questions. But after the 3rd try, I did pass with flying colors. I got 89%. ZPG sponsored me and my co-pilot during the 1971 and 1972 Powder Puff Derby races. We tried to educate the public during necessary fuel stops along the race route by giving interviews to newspaper reporters. We also presented speeches to several different organizations, such as Rotary and Kiwanis. The sterile stork decal was placed on the aircraft for naturally advertising zero population growth. Our race uniform also depicted the pink sterile stork. We advocated that a married couple have just 2 children to replace themselves.
What benefits and life experiences have you developed because of flying?
Well, there were many. It gave me self-confidence, and also during lifetime after flying the Powder Puff Derbies, was able to make better judgment and not take risk in life. Also understanding other people and making friends more readily. It was an enrichment for me.
That is awesome. And then, last of all, what advice can you give all of us, especially young pilots, particularly those women that would be really quite interested in aviation as a vocation or a career?
Well, you have to set your goals, and you have to want something bad enough, and you have to work hard for it. You can't give up. In other words, you got to keep your nose to the grindstone. That's it.
There you go. Thank you, Mom.